Hey everybody, Rich here, South Florida Beekeeping with Rich. There's never a dull moment when you're beekeeping in South Florida. I was out here today working around in the bee yard and everything looked very calm and quiet and relaxed and normal. And then I was just inside the screen room there and all of a sudden I heard an unmistakable roar. And when I came out, there were so many bees in the air I couldn't even figure out which hive they came from. And that isn't bad enough. I went through all three of these hives 2 days ago, top to bottom. Brand new bottom boards on two of them. When I say I went through them top to bottom, I mean top to bottom. Did not see a swarm cell anywhere. Still had plenty of open checkerboarding frames from where I checkerboarded and split the brood nest. Still have a empty frame in the middle of brood nest number 2 for that matter. Not the slightest hint or indication that there was going to be a swarm. And yet here we were, the whole air in here was just full of bees, and they started coalescing around the tree, and then eventually they started centering themselves, and there they are up at the top of the tree. Now,
all the
way up, way past where I could do anything with them.
Yeah.
Except that in January at the North American Bee Expo, Fred Dunn particularly was doing little video vignettes with different manufacturers, and this guy had made this frame holder that he was selling.
The new handy dandy frame holder.
Yep. And I had mine on order before the expo was out, so my order was in his inbox by the time he got back home to California. So I got mine in pretty short order.
And yeah, you probably could have made it yourself. But
yes, I could have made it.
It is his intellectual property, so we don't mind paying the man a few bucks for his idea.
No.
He deserves
as it happened, I had a $30 gift certificate from Christmas to Home Depot and this incredibly heavy-duty extension pole.
Nice.
All right, was just at $30. Don't even remember what the distance on it is right now. I think it goes out to 15 feet or something. So instead of waiting for them to move into one of my buckets tomorrow, we're going.
It's too high for you to reach it with the thing that you can just bang on them with, right? The 5-gallon water jug.
It may theoretically be within range, but the thing is that there's no way to attach that bucket thing to this pole, and the pole that I use with that isn't even as long as this. So
yeah.
It would normally be a matter of let's just wait and see if they move into one of the buckets. And there's lots of scout activity at bucket number 1 under the avocado tree anyway. So if this fails, we're probably not going to lose anything because they'll probably still go there.
But this theory was put forth by somebody that if you just put a frame up next to a swarm, they're going to hop on the frame.
Yeah, well, the guys tried it and experimented with it. It seems to work. It allows you to get into places you couldn't normally get into and like pull a swarm out. Now, it might be for mostly swarms that are a little smaller than this one. It's a pretty good sized swarm, but then again, these were pretty well packed hives with lots of...
You could always use more than one frame.
That's why I brought 3 frames out, dear.
Yep.
Well, fill a frame up, put it in the box, put another one on here.
Well, all we can do is try.
There's been no dry runs or practice or anything, and since this thing does release at the top, when I come down I will have to be doing it.
But you and ladders don't get along that well.
That's why I thought that this would be a great thing to have, because it means for a lot less ladder work with this.
Wow.
But not in this case. I was hoping that, like so many swarms before, they would land somewhere over here in the cherry tree, but nope. They went for the cedar tree. Let's see what happens.
Yep.
Okay. Looks like I need at least 2 more clicks. Okay, we're on the swarm. Now it's all up to them.
How will you know?
Well, when it's covered with bees, I'll know. There's no telling how long. This is the drawback to this, is that you just gotta stand there until it happens, or doesn't.
And you've got it up against the tree, I take it.
Yeah, as you can see, I'm moving the limb.
Yeah. It's
Now, obviously, this shows me that I'm going to have to work out a adapter system for my bucket onto here.
yeah, I think so. Or cut this tree shorter.
That actually is in this spring's plans.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to take the top 10 or 15 feet off of this tree.
They do seem to love the red cedar. Does it feel like there's any action?
Feel like there's any action? Why do you think this is fishing? I'm going to feel a tug on the line.
Yeah, you're fishing for bees. Good analogy.
I've seen a couple of bees walking around on it so far. That's about it.
Uh-huh.
Maybe if I can slip under this branch and get a little closer.
Oh, you think maybe you're gonna get it like right in their face?
Yeah.
I see more bees moving around.
Well, that's because I just jammed the thing into them.
Yeah, and I do see bees
Starting to crawl
on the
onto
other
it.
side of it. You know, the side that's closest to me. I see more bees on it now.
Yeah.
I don't know how long you can hold it up there, honey, but it does seem to be working.
It does seem to be working. The wind, though, is moving me around. So the theory behind this thing is that it's a good tool to use when you have bees on like a real heavy branch or limb or on a fence post or something like that where you can't really just knock them.
Right. Or when it's too high.
Well, in theory, no matter how high, you can get something to knock them if they're knockable. And the one thing about a red cedar tree is the branches are extremely stiff and not terribly flexible.
I see. I also think you need to be pretty strong to hold that pole in that position.
Yep, and I'm a 70-year-old man. I ain't that strong anymore, but I've got it leaned up against there. The thing is, I can do all this work, and if the queen doesn't get on the frame and we put them in here, they'll just all go back up there.
They
But if the
might,
queen
yeah.
gets in there,
Well,
strolls
if
over.
you bang them a little bit, will they land on the frame? I mean,
No,
if
they
go
would
in
just
the air,
fall on
will
the ground or go in the air. But we're getting a sizable amount of bees, and presumably the queen would be interested in uh, the comb.
Right.
Well, the bees underneath on the branch are definitely dwindling.
Yes. And there's more bees on this side of the frame that I can see.
Yeah.
I thought I was fully out, but I was able to zoom in just a tad more.
Yeah. Well, we're going to see what we got on frame number 1.
Okay.
If I
It's
can
coming
get it.
down. Oh, it looks like you've got a lot on there. Oh my.
Is oh my a good thing?
Yes. Just be careful not to bump them.
Uh-huh.
To me, that looks like you've got a good quarter of the swarm on there.
That's no quarter of the swarm.
It's not what?
That's not a quarter of the swarm.
But it's a good start. I don't think that frame's set all the way in there. Now, are you going to cover that so they can't go back flying back up to the tree?
Hmm. No. Well, maybe, yeah, I guess. If they really want out of here, they can get out. I don't have it. I mean, I have a queen excluder here, but I don't have it so they can't exit.
Well, frame number 2.
Really? You just have to get in on the act, huh? I feel like I got a 4-pound bass on the end of this. Ugh.
Wow. Well, I think getting the second frame off was a little easier for you than the first one was.
Well, a little bit of practice.
Oh, when you took that cover off, a lot of bees are leaving. I think you better put it back on. You don't have the queen yet.
Apparently this box has a slightly warped top. As for not having the queen yet, focus where my thumb is.
Yeah. Is she there?
I don't know whether she's there or not, but somebody seems to think she is.
Oh, there's some nasing off going on. Huh.
I am not your queen.
But you smell good.
This ladder is just determined to be a problem.
Yeah, you mentioned that that was slightly warped, so you're trimming off a little bit so it'll fit better.
What I'm doing is trimming off a bit of propolis on the ends because it's probably just a blob of propolis on the end of the frame that's causing that problem. I'm trying to see if the bees that are going out of there, any of them are going back to any particular hive. Give me a clue which one.
Here we go with frame number 3. If I can stop moving the camera around.
Well, I don't think that I've gotten a fraction of these, but if I got the queen, this is a good thing. If I didn't get the queen, If I got the queen and she's in there, the rest of these bees will go back to whatever hive they came from. And I'll just try to figure it out and do a split.
Well, if you're out of frames, you can take that down, dump the bees in the box that you have the other 2 frames in, and then put that frame back up.
Yeah, I'm not out of frames, but I was considering that because I don't want to use them all up doing this. Just not getting any increase here.
Yeah.
As you can see, I've barely scratched the surface.
Oh, true. That swarm looks almost just as big as it did before.
Yep. So I think my time is better spent at this point putting out all the buckets and see who moves in tomorrow morning at 10 a.m.
Yeah. But this wasn't,
Wasn't a failure.
yeah.
I mean, it works. Yeah, they're slightly agitated. Well, I'm going to go get a feeder, put a feeder on here with some one-to-one in it. I doubt seriously that we have the queen, but just in case we do. Otherwise, they'll all just be gone back up there in the morning. Uh, but I'm also going to put out all the buckets. I've had the buckets not out because I didn't want any more swarms.
Well, sometimes Mother Nature
Yeah.
has other ideas.
I didn't want anybody else's swarms.
Yeah.
But if my swarms are going to
Well, we don't know
happen,
that this is yours.
oh,
but...
I know it's mine.
Oh, you
dear.
think so? I want to get a shot of the front. Can I get around you?
There is no front.
You don't have a, oh, there's no opening.
Nope.
Oh, so they're just in there for the night.
No, your front is actually right where you were. It's right here. This is just a shim, okay? And then the queen excluder is on top of it. And all this part is in, but this part is out. So any bee who wants to go through the queen excluder and come out here and
Oh,
come
I
out
see.
can.
Oh, I see.
It's
You
just
don't have
I
a
just
landing
had to
board.
do something quick and dirty
Right.
until I can get either find another bottom board or build one in the morning, because I seem to be missing one. It's around somewhere.
Well, you know, eventually you run out of equipment.
Well, that's where the problem happens.
So I guess we will have to take this up in round 2 tomorrow.
Yep.
All right.
We haven't heard the last of this one yet.
We're not signing off. We're just stopping for the day.
Yep. Hey everybody, Rich here. South Florida Beekeeping with Rich, part 2. So the other day we tried the new swarm catching tool. Found out that that swarm is way too big to try to do it with 3 frames, and that holding it up like this to the top of a tree is kind of a hard on the back. But by the next morning, the bees had left the box, gone back up into the swarm, except for some very confused drones that couldn't get out through the queen excluder. So I freed them. As you can see, Saturday night, I went ahead and built a new bottom board and such, and I put the box here. I don't know what you're seeing there right now. It's just bees that are interested in the fact that there's 3 frames in there. Now, whether they are from the swarm or whether they're just random foragers, we don't know. Why, you want me to show it to you?
Yeah, let's up the box. Let's take a look.
All right.
So it's just
probably random foragers, because they're not acting like
nah, they're just interested.
scouts. They're just
interested parties.
Yeah, they're just random foragers, I believe. So, at any rate, Sunday morning, went out in the morning and did a cutout from a meter box with Chris from the Bee Club. You'll see that video at some other point. Monday morning, Frank comes over to pick up a box of bees, which is the bees that were in the position that this box is in now. He was very thrilled with his bees. And he brought me a trap. The trap was built from the March issue of American Bee Journal. The title of the article is "Swarm Traps Made Simple" by John Schellenberger. It's on page 321 of the Hive. And that's that box up there. It's a brilliant idea in that you just take 2 nukes, you put them together with some pieces of wood to hold them together. The frames are in the top one, and you have it set up so that anything and everything odd that you do is done to the bottom box, so that all you have to do is unscrew it, unscrew the screws that are in the top box, and walk away with the top box. And you can put another box on there and you're good to go again. So reading that article, he built that box, put it in his place for a week or 2. Nothing happened, but he rarely gets much activity around his house. So when he came to pick up the bees, he said, "Hey, Rich, can we put this out here?" So that was Sunday afternoon. We put it out here. So today is Tuesday, and today the scouts are all in that one. The scouts are also all in the bucket right there, and there's been a few scouts in the other buckets too. But since this morning, it has looked like the bucket actually has a swarm in it. Now, when I said the other day that I could not figure out which hive the bees came from, I still can't, and I kind of wonder if the bees swarming from one hive excited the other one, and that they both left at the same time and went up there. And because the swarm up there now doesn't look quite as big as it did.
Yes, there they are. They're still there.
Yes, the swarm is still there.
Okay.
I don't know if they're all there or not, but the swarm is still there. So, that is not scout activity. And that's the way this has looked since 9 o'clock this morning. I mean, yesterday, you had equal numbers of scout bees at Frank's box and this bucket. That is not scout activity, but obviously the swarm is still up in the tree.
So what you're saying is this is a second swarm?
I'm suspecting that we have a second swarm moved in while we were waiting for the first swarm to make up its mind.
Well, you want to lower that bucket and take a peek?
That's what I'm going to do. Because I can't believe that is just...
No, that definitely...
That does not look like scout activity.
There's a lot of bees in there.
But there's no weight. It
No
must
weight.
be scout activity.
Well...
There's no weight to this. Let's open it up anyway. They still may not have made up their mind. I mean, who would choose a bucket over a double nuke? I don't know. Some white trash bees.
Hey.
They're my bees from my own house. I can say that, dear. Let's see. But that is definitely not... Oh, okay.
Oh, no. Lift
It
that
is an
sucker
itty
up.
bitty.
Your
it
head's
is.
in the way.
Okay.
Thank you. Lift it up. That's a swarm.
Yeah, it's a swarm.
Yep, they're building comb.
It's an itty bitty one.
But they're building comb. That's who chooses a bucket over 2 deep nukes. They know what they can defend. They know what kind of size they want.
Yeah.
Don't be talking trash about small swarms. If I might make a suggestion,
Yes.
leave that bucket up there till the other swarm decides what it's going to do.
Oh, I'm not doing anything with this little bucket at this point. All right, you guys are good. Where you at?
Boy, the bees do love the red cedar tree. They also love the avocado tree. I saw swarm activity at that bucket as well.
Well, scout activity.
Oh, what did I say?
You said swarm activity.
I misspoke. I meant scout activity.
Yeah, there's about as much scout activity at the avocado bucket as there is at this double nuke.
Yep.
Double deep nuke. But
so I guess we have to have part 3. So
well,
we see where that swarm ends up.
Yeah, I guess we'll just have to come back and report whether they go for one of the buckets or whether they go for the double deep nuke. If I was a swarm that size, I'd definitely go for the double deep nuke, except that Frank used new equipment. He put 3 old frames in there,
Yeah.
but he used new equipment, and
there's no propolis on the inside?
He doesn't paint with propolis on the inside. I went ahead and painted his raw drill hole with propolis because I'd get to it. I couldn't do anything inside because I don't have star bits. And he put all his screws are all star bit, and I use Phillips. So I would have popped it open for him and painted the inside because it's an awful lot of fresh smelling lumber in there. He went and got brand new nukes to do it.
Well,
but you know,
guess we'll find out.
Fresh wood smell aside, you know, I wouldn't let that put me off if I was a bee looking for new quarters. I don't think. I just happen to like mine to be old and lived in.
Well, I guess we're going to stay tuned for
stay tuned
chapter.
For part 3. Hey everybody, Rich here, South Florida Beekeeping with Rich. Okay, part 3. Well, much to my amazement, they left. That's it. I was doing a project here in the backyard, landscaping most of the day, and the bees were checking out all the swarm traps pretty much equally all through the day. Around 4 o'clock, I went around to the front yard to do a project in the garage. Everything was still in the same state. I came back into the backyard around 6 o'clock to get some boards and immediately noticed, wait a minute, there's no swarm activity at this bucket. Looked at the next bucket, there's no swarm activity at that bucket. Or scout activity, I should say. No scout activity. I went, uh-oh, hey, maybe they moved in. Came back here, the swarm is gone, and they didn't move into any of the buckets. So I ran around to all the neighbors and checked all their yards and all the places swarms have been in their past. So wherever they went further away than right around the corner. That's pretty much it. So we're left with, what did we learn from this? Well, one thing I learned from this is that I need to set it up so that I can use this bucket, this catch bucket, on that pole. So last night I went to Home Depot, found this nice wooden handle one. It's almost a perfect fit already. When I take this off, turn it around, wrap a few rounds of duct tape on it, we will now have a much longer catch bucket, because if I'd had that set up, I could have gotten it. All that they left behind was this little piece of comb laying on the ground underneath where they had been. So there was a few bees with overactive glands who just had to do something while they were hanging around up there for 3 days, but that's about it. It is my belief they didn't go into the box, the brand new box up there, because that thing was made from 2 brand new nukes. And when I was putting it up there and my nose was near that hole, there was just this overwhelming smell of fresh cut southern pine. And back when I started beekeeping, I was reading some stuff that always told you to air out your equipment a little bit, let the strong scent tone down.
Off gassing?
Off gassing is the right word for it, yes, before you started using it. So there was never as much scout activity coming in and out of that hole as there were in the buckets, which makes no sense since there's twice the volume, except for the fact that the inside of my buckets have all been painted with propolis tincture and slum gum. So that's my speculation, is that that wasn't attractive just because the odor was so strong. Beyond that, c'est la vie. That swarm has moved on. So it's taught us a couple other things, which we'll go into in another video. So this has been South Florida Beekeeping with Rich. Like and subscribe.